As mentioned in our tutorial video about the general settings of Visual Composer extensions, the plugin comes with multiple custom post types that are used to feed data or information to their matching elements in Visual Composer. Those custom post types by default are deactivated, and if you haven't done so already, you need to activate them first in order to use the post type itself and their matching elements. You can activate those post types in the plugin settings on the main section called General Settings. If you scroll down a little, you will notice a section called Manage Custom Post Types. In here you can control which post types you actually need and disable or enable them to your liking. For this purpose, we will just enable all custom post types. Once you make your selection, all that is left to do is to save your settings. And you will now notice the new post types available to you. This video in particular will show you how to use the custom post type VCE Testimonials and its related elements in Visual Composer. Although the post type is named Testimonials, it can just as easily be used for any kind of quotes that you might want to highlight on your website. Before you start adding your first testimonial, you might want to consider creating categories for your testimonials. Categories are fully optional, they are not required, but they allow you to group your testimonials better. And there is a dedicated element in Visual Composer extensions that allows you to show all testimonials in one specific or multiple specific categories. So we will just create a couple of categories. Creating them is as easy as that. All you need is basically a name. You can manually define a slug, but WordPress will take care of that for you, and you can provide an optional description. All that's left is clicking on Add New Category, and it will be listed over here. The name we just gave it, if you did a description, a slug, and a count of how many testimonials are in that particular category. So we will just add 2 more. And that should get us started. So now we can start adding our first testimonial. By clicking on Add New. As you can see, there are not many selections to be made. It's fairly straightforward. I handpicked a couple of testimonials before. This one we will put under Ancient Worlds, and we will add a featured image to that post type representing the person who made it. Adding a featured image is not required. If you do not, a generic placeholder image will be shown instead on the front end. And that's all that is to do to create a new testimonial. All that's left is to publish. And you will now see your new testimonial listed under here. We go ahead and add 2 more. Custom post types. Same procedure as last time. Hit publish. And one last one. Just repeat the steps over and over. So you notice down here, those two additional sections allow you to define who made that quote or that testimonial, and an additional note. Can be anything, can be birth dates, remarks. You can even leave it empty if you don't have anything. So we should now have created 3 different post types, as you can see them here. And our next step will be to use those testimonials in Visual Composer. In order to use them, we will just create a new page, or you can of course use an existing one. We will just make some basic page settings. Those are of course depending upon your theme. And we will switch over to Visual Composer and start adding a row. Make 2 columns, and we will now add our first testimonial. As with all our elements, they are grouped under VCE extensions, and you will find testimonials towards the end. You notice you will have 3 different elements for testimonials. The first one allows you to just insert one specific testimonial. The second one allows you to build a custom slider based on individual testimonials. And the last one will build a slider based on a or multiple categories, which is what I mentioned earlier. We will start out with a single testimonial, which will give you options like that. You start by selecting your first testimonial, and you will see all the ones we just created listed. Of course, we only have 3, so it's fairly easy to find the one we need. But if you happen to have dozens or even hundreds of different testimonials, this list might become a little crowded and it's harder to find the one you actually need. In those cases, you can filter the list by turning on the filter controls, and you will have a listing of all available categories. So in order to filter your list, you just apply the categories you like, from available to filtered by, simply by clicking on it, and your list down here will be filtered based on your selection. So Ancient World only has 1 testimonial, which is this one. If we start adding another one, we will get all of them. If we remove them, you see the 3 we started off with. Again, that filter is totally optional and really only useful if you have many testimonials in multiple categories. So we will start out with 1 testimonial. The next step would be to pick a design or style. Testimonials come in 3 different styles. Pick style 1. And what's left is to decide if you want to show the author name and note and the avatar, which is the featured image we added earlier. Some people just want to show the testimonial with nothing else. So if you want to hide either one of those 2, just make the corresponding setting. Once you're happy with your selections, just save the changes and you're ready to go. We will just add another one. This time we will take signs and we will select style 3 for this one. Let's save our page for a moment and take a quick look how it looks like. And there you have it. First 2 testimonials with style 1 and style 3. Here's the featured image we picked, the author and its note to it, and the other testimonial over here. So you see, inserting a single testimonial is very, very easy. As a next step, we will start building a custom slider out of the testimonials. We'll do so by just adding another row and insert our first slider. We build a custom slider, testimonial slider 1, which will provide you with a container, and you can add your individual testimonials in here, similar to a row or column already. So we will start adding testimonial, which basically has the same control elements as we just used. We will just go through them and just use all 3 testimonials we created earlier in all available styles. The slider settings can be changed by changing the settings for the container element. They are of course pre-filled with their default setting, but there's a couple things you can change here. The animation types, for example. There is an in and an out animation for the slider when it's switching over between each individual slides, and you can select whatever animation you like to have, and you will always get a little preview over here. It's usually the best effect is by matching opposite effects, as we did here. The in animation we will rotate in, and the out animation we will rotate out. What's left is to pick a couple more items. By default, those animations are deactivated on mobile devices for performance reasons. If for whatever reason you really need them to be active, you can just turn them on here. By default, the slider will also adjust its height automatically based on the height of the current slide. You can disable that. In that case, the slider will always have the same height based on the tallest slide in there. You could also autoplay the slide. In that case, you get a couple more options, like a progress bar, which shows you how much time is left until the slider will progress to the next item. You can define the progress bar color. And of course, you can define how long each individual slide should be shown. I forgot one more. Stop on hover. If your mouse is hovering over the slider, it's by default stopping and waiting till the mouse is moved away. You can turn that off if you need to. Show navigation means whether the slider should show a little forward and backwards buttons that help you to quickly navigate through the slider. So we made our changes here. So we will just update the page and take a look how it looks over here. We still have the two individual testimonials we created earlier, but now we got our slider down here. Those other navigation files I just mentioned. Or you can use those quick buttons. If you like for that slider to auto-rotate, all you have to do is to enable the autoplay feature. And we will leave the progress bar active. And the slider will automatically rotate through each slide. Notice once I hover over, the counter stops. Once I move back out, it will continue, or I can just hit pause and play. And I can still manually rotate if I want to. That's all there is to know about the custom slider. The only element left would be the category slider, which is testimonial slider 2. It will ask you which categories you like to include. So we just, for this example, just like ancient worlds and Middle Ages. Since that slider is based on categories, all testimonials will have the same styling. You just need to pick which one you like to have. Again, whether you want to show the author name or the featured image. And you got the same slider settings you just saw at the custom slider. In most cases, you can just use them as they are. We'll save the page one more time and take a look how this one looks now. Now you have every possible testimonial element that you can use. Individual testimonials, a custom-built testimonial slider based on testimonials you picked. And here we have our testimonial slider based on categories. With the custom slider, you can even repeat a testimonial if for some reason you feel the need for it. But with any slider, you need to have at least 2 items, otherwise there isn't much to slide. And that concludes our tutorial video for the VCE testimonials element. I hope you enjoyed our video.